On the eve of the resurrection, I felt I was being pulled out of my body. As I was being lifted up, I looked back and saw my body lying on the floor. I felt as if I was being pulled towards the tomb where Jesus' body was laid. Upon reaching the cave, I found myself inside, the rock still in place at the entrance. There I found my beloved. I gasped at the sight I beheld. His beautiful face and body were uncovered, and the blood-drenched swaddling wrap placed at his feet. He looked nothing like himself. I picked up the face cover and held it in my hands, near my heart. My heart stopped. I closed my eyes but a moment to pull myself together. Suddenly, there was a wind which surrounded me, and then I found myself surrounded by a legion of angels. I watched how they entered and exited the cave as though it was a mirage. They brought pieces of his body tissue, as if putting his precious body back together. Music filled the air, and when they seemed to complete their work, all quieted and the rushing of the wind calmed. All present looked at me. There were no longer signs of blood, just that which was imprinted on the shroud and face cloth. But I did notice that the wrap which I used to cover my issue at the cross was folded next to his wrap. I walked over, only to find that he was whole again. Tears streamed down my eyes as I beheld my lifeless beloved. Memories of our love caused a crushing within my heart. I took away the face cloth. It was as though he was only sleeping. But he wasn't sleeping. He was dead. Then something stirred within me. I felt as though I was in a state of ecstasy. I felt an overwhelming sensation of love and desire, just like on our wedding night. I went closer. I remember how his fingers touched my lips. Taking my fingers, I touched his lips. I remember his breath, and I leaned over and breathed on him. Next, I remember his vows to me, and then the kiss. The urging within my heart overcame me. I leaned over his lifeless body and kissed him. It was as though an explosion took place within him. Then it was as though his brain was started in his head. Light was coursing through his body. I saw what looked like blood, but it looked different. And as he took his first breath, inhaling my name, Mary, just as he did with his last exhaling breath, and his eyes opened. The next thing I knew, it was first light, the morning of the first day. I grabbed my wrap and awakened my Khalas. I had to get back to the tomb. I told the Khalas to take the oils that I may anoint my husband's body. I did not tell of my experience. As I spoke to them, however, I noticed that they were still and quiet. Almost immediately, Beth pulled my head covering down over my eyes and whispered to look down as we journeyed quickly towards the tomb. Upon arrival at the tomb, I discovered the rock that sealed the opening was rolled away. The tomb was empty. "Where is he?" I loudly whispered. "Mary," Beth exclaimed in a low voice. "I see him in your eyes." I sent the women to run back to get the others and Peter. The women soon returned, reporting that Peter would not come. I went myself. Peter's first reaction was not to believe me. As I was finally able to convince him, he and John followed me to the tomb. Once Peter saw that the tomb was empty, he got angry. He was fearful that the guards had taken Jesus' body and that they were secretly watching to see who would come there. Peter quickly ran back to the hiding place to alert the others, fearful they would be followed. He told John to go another way. John then left not knowing what to think and felt it best to do what the frightened Peter suggested. The Khalas stayed behind with me. I told them to search the grounds to see if they could find the body. Once they left, I noticed a young man sitting directly outside the tomb. He seemed to appear out of nowhere. He asked who it was that I was looking for. I told him I was looking for the body of the Nazarene. The only words he spoke to me were, "Why do you search for him among the dead?" Then he disappeared. Taken aback by what just happened, I decided to search the garden myself to see if there was any evidence of where the guards may have taken him. As I did, I saw a man walking. Then I lost sight of him. Suddenly I heard a voice from behind me. "Who are you searching for?" he asked. Then as I turned, I mistook Jesus for the gardener and asked if he knew where the body had been taken so I could reclaim it. "Mary," he said. It was at that moment that I, Mary, witnessed the man-God in his new, human but glorified transcendental body. I, Mary, witnessed the fullness of my soulmate's divinity for the first time since we came to earth. In its entirety, as a glorified human, for the sake of witnessing, he continued, Mary, Magdalen. Translated, this means Mary, you who knows and is light. Then almost immediately I was put into ecstasy, and he was one flame, as on our wedding night, as written in Corinthians, but whoever is joined to the Lord is one spirit with him. After our mystical union, Jesus told me to go tell the others and Peter. I hesitated a moment. Peter? It was almost as though he had to think about telling Peter. Seeing the other women witnessing, I told them to come with me. Upon reaching the hiding place, I found a kind of council going on. Everyone seemed confused. Mary, the mother of Jesus, was sitting off to the back near James, the righteous one, who was praying, and a few others who were quiet and listening. I shouted, Peter, he's alive! As always, he scoffed at me and hushed me, and he and the others continued to discuss some type of plan. Where's Thomas? He questioned, in another attempt to get him to listen to me. He grabbed my arm and said that I was hysterical. I told him no. I told him that I saw him, and we talked. He then went on to tell everyone to stay inside. His fear had increased now more than ever. As I tried for the third time, there within our midst stood Jesus.